are here, and we made it to the Tacoma Dome, and now we have David Ellefson of Megadeth on our segment of Bassist United. Welcome, Dave.
How are you?
Good. Glad to have you. And we have Steve Unger here, as we mentioned before, of Metal Church. And we have Derek Unger. Since Circus. Oh, jeez. I should so know that. I've been following. These guys are great. Anyways, so you guys just came off of a tour together from the UK doing some festivals. How was that?
How was it for you?
It was awesome.
Good for me. How was it for you?
It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, we did the tour here in the States, which was 5 weeks together, and then we got 2 shows over there.
And it's interesting here at Tacoma Dome. I remember we played here in 1987 because we took the photos on the back of the So Far So Good So What album here.
From really?
Yeah, and it was with Metal Church, as it turns out, the show. I was thinking, because my friend Mike Savoy, a photographer here in town,
awesome.
we were shooting some photos, and I remember I was driving over and I told Dave, I said, man, I know we played here. And I think we might have played here maybe with Judas Priest or something too in 1990 on the Rest in Peace tour for us, Painkiller for them. But I was going, I know we played here. So Mike confirmed that there's like a convention center or there's a smaller building within the building. So I was like, man, a lot of years have gone by, but my thinker's still pretty good. My memory's good here.
So Metal Church and Megadeth have been going on tours, doing shows for well over 30 years together. Now, 30 years later, is the Commander, is it different now? Do you think it's a little bit more seasoned, or?
No, I mean, look, I remember on the Killing Is My Business tour, so that would have been 1985. We did a tour with Exciter across the country, and very difficult, as most bands' first tours are. Cars breaking down, no money, broke, broke beyond broke. And I remember we ended in L.A., and we were supposed to come up to Seattle to play with Metal Church. And I think it was Portland, Starry Nights maybe?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Starry Nights, and then there was another venue. I don't know that it was the Moore Theater. I don't think it was that, but it was something, you know, pretty significant in Seattle. And of course, with Metal Church, hometown, we all loved that first Metal Church record. Was awesome. Wasn't really a thrash record, but was kind of this cool, almost power metal, borderline thrash kind of thing that we all loved. Especially Metal Church. I mean, that's a good arm workout. And so, the history between our two bands has been, pretty much from the beginning, lifelong, I would say. So it's great we get to see each other. Like I say, over in Europe, where both bands can hold their own, and in America here with your recent album that came out and doing the tour together. So
Absolutely phenomenal.
Cool. I mean, look, if you don't call it quits,
right,
you have a chance of
sitting
here.
It takes a long time to just keep persevering and just moving forward because, man, there's a lot of roadblocks and a lot of reasons why you would just say, screw this, I'm going to cut my hair and get a real job.
Until you get a real job and go, this sucks, and I look better with long hair. So then you go back and do this again.
Get more chicks.
So speaking of those touring and this last tour that you guys did together, knowing Steve, tell me, what prank did he play? I know he had to have played some kind of prank.
Never pranked us.
No. You really don't pull pranks on the headlining band.
That's duty safe specifically for the headliner to do, which we don't do. We don't, dump flour on the opening band or do these funny things or have the crew guys run naked across the stage. And, you hear these infamous stories of these bands over the years that do these kind of pranks. And for us, we'd rather invite a band out and sing along to Peace Sells or, do a song that we all know and do something that's more kind of collaborative and unites us together. Because the prank is funny for us, but the audience just goes, what was that all about? Was that part of the show?
I was actually referring to behind the scenes.
Well, nothing there either,
There's really not a lot of time. People don't really realize that. I mean,
Steve, I am so shocked with you.
Look, now I do know this. I've made it very clear. I have kind of low back issues from all the years of playing bass. I've had a 15-pound bass hanging off me since really the last 40 years. And as you probably have, I'm sure. And it takes a toll. They have the most awesome inversion table that they carry with them. In fact, you had it in Europe. I'm like, dude,
that's right.
Can I take a ride on the inversion table after the show? So, those are the kind of pranks we do now, right? Stuff to preserve our health so we can play another day, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Gone are the days of roaming the streets of Amsterdam and, some of those days,
So back in the early days, when you guys didn't have much money, how many fans did you go home and just sleep? How many took your band home and said, "Hey, sleep on the floor. We'll cook you breakfast in the morning"?
I remember doing that coming up here with Metal Church. Ironically, and doing that. Not sleeping with Metal Church.
No, I'm just talking about
fans. Because I remember being out at the park with David Wayne.
Yeah.
And, ganja was good up here. Probably still is. I don't know. I don't smoke it anymore. But, I just remember back in the day, there's like beer, ganja, cigarettes, hamburgers, and maybe a date for the night or whatever. That was kind of, as long as you had those essentials, you were a pretty happy camper out on the road.
You had a place to stay that night.
Yeah, exactly. We had a place to stay. But I remember your band being very gracious to us and helping us kind of, make our way. And I remember us being out at a park, hanging out, like having a barbecue, and it was, dude, that was literally survival. That was the meal, like probably the one meal of the day was barbecuing with Metal Church at some park,
That's cool.
And that just was the hang, and the Bay Area, there was always somebody that would have a house that we'd come over after the show and hang out and sort of party to the wee hours. I remember Jason Newsted, Flotsam and Jetsam. When we would go out on the Killing Is My Business tour, and I think probably the early maybe Peace Cells tour or so, we would go through Phoenix and play the Mason Jar, and that was when Jason was still in the band. And Jason was always a real straight shooter guy, and they were kind of maybe the leader of that band a little bit, and he had a house somewhere in Phoenix, and he'd always invite us over, and we'd have these awesome parties and hang out, and that was just, that was like the hospitality. Hey, we're going to do the show, then we're going to all go over to my house afterwards, and, there'd be some metal cranking on the stereo and keg parties and, fans hanging out and stuff, and it was cool. It's that we don't get to do. Well, look, we're sitting in a limo. So, change. But those were awesome days, because, and I think probably, I don't know about your band, but I think probably with us, is always maintaining that feeling of that, no matter how popular we get and all the gold records and the accolades we're able to enjoy, but just keeping that, because that's the reason we got the gold record. That's the reason we got any of that
I think
stuff.
they call it just being real, man.
Yeah, that's what metal is.
Being real, yes.
That's what metal is.
True.
So how do you stay humble? Is it a hard thing to do?
I saw a great Jerry Seinfeld quote that somebody shared today that said something to the effect of, keep your head up when times are low, but keep your head down when times are good. Which I thought was awesome, because and probably part of keeping your head down is because then everybody wants something from you. So keep your head down, but it's kind of that saying of keep your head in the clouds, enjoy the life, but also keep your feet down here on the earth. Because this is where your fellow travelers are.
It's kind of a fine line between arrogance and confidence, and a lot of times people misread your confidence for arrogance, and it's like, no, I just don't have time for this, or and that's a lot of time where you got to cut people off, because like right now you're short on time, so
exactly.
You get 15 minutes, and then you got to try to cram everything you can in 15 minutes, and then you're on your way. But there's people that stop you on your way, and they want to do stuff, and you're like, sorry, I got time, and then they take you as arrogant.
So when real quick, last to wrap this up, you guys are both moving into doing management with bands. You have EMP. You manage Circus, which is Derek's band. Phenomenal. He's a great bass player. Do you guys ever think that there's a time that you'll just stop performing and maybe just be that manager and kind of do that?
I've been asked for years, probably because I wrote that music business book, that Making Music Your Business book, which I wrote back in the mid-90s, came out in the late 90s. And so people, and I didn't put that out to be like some sort of music industry expert at all. I was just more like me as a musician. Basically, here's all the mistakes I made that led me to understand the business as it is. Because at that time, there was no handbook. Now there's college courses about music business and production and all these different things, probably the if you really want to be in the music business, go get your law degree, because lawyers, largely run, and I don't say that demeaning at all. That's just that's the reality, but it's what it is. So, but management is not just a sort of administrative role. It's also very creative. I mean, the only
absolutely.
group that I work with, I also very intrinsically understand the fabric of what that band is. You know, I've been just this week I got asked to manage somebody else, and it's like, man, I can't take on something that I don't believe in as if it were my own band. Because managements and these things, they require the same endless hours, your phone blowing up over stuff, as being in a band, you know. So that's one of my.
And you're putting your own reputation on the line.
Totally.
You know, using your contacts, your people you know, to say, check this band out.
Well,
and if they fall down, you're like,
You've had great success though with one of the first bands that you launched, which is Dollskin.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Megan!
I just
Happy
played
21.
with them, like,
yeah,
Did you? Nice.
Show
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you know, they're willing to work. They you know,
good.
again, they wake up and they
Awesome.
live and breathe rock and roll. They live and breathe their band. And to me, you know, I had a manager friend told me years ago, he said, I'm not willing to work any harder than my band is. Meaning, if you think you're going to sit at home, I'm going to do all the work, guess again. You know, if I see you working hard, I'll work hard. If I work hard, I expect you to be that hard, or work that hard. And, you know, look, Steve and I, we're still out on tour.
I know.
All these years later, and to me, that you set the example. You know, if you want to sit at home in your ivory towers and sort of expect other people to do things, then to me it's kind of hypocritical. But when you're out doing what we do all these years later, and we're still out doing this, then I think that sets the work ethic for your company.
Absolutely.
And you know, the label that I formed was largely because I produced things over the years. Then you go call your friends and say, hey, I got this band, and then they listen to it, and they're like, well, shows promise. Yeah, let me see how it develops. And you know, you kind of get this sort of rhetorical blow off, you know. And so finally, I was like, you know, I'm done with that. I've been fortunate, you know, got a good partner with Tom and a nice team we put together.
Yes.
And to just say, you know what? And again, I need other people that I can rely on.
Right.
You know, that I don't know the record business inside and out. I know it from an artist point of view.
and it changes every day anyway.
It
so,
totally changes.
yeah.
Actually, you guys, Tom was responsible for just releasing a release of a local band, Malfunction, with a remix, I guess. So,
Yeah.
which is awesome. So
Well, and that's the thing too. You know, one of the things that I think we do at our label is artist development. And there's some, you know, we've signed some veteran acts like Autograph and you know, Doyle and you know, those kind of acts, and they have a fan base already. But you know, to like the Dollskin thing is a developmental thing, and it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of work, it takes a lot of money. And that's what the record business just doesn't have anymore. They don't have time, money, or you know, or quite honestly, the audience doesn't have the attention span for it. So we're doing what Steve and I got to enjoy growing up, which is real artist development. The deals we signed were usually these 7-album deals where they know the first record's a development, and the second one probably is. Fortunately, by about album 3 or 4, you're going to really hit your peak, and then the record company gets to enjoy albums 5, 6, 7 on the way out the door. If you don't break up before then,
Right, which happens most of the time.
Which happens most of the time. Yeah. So. A lot of this stuff, look, the world has a short attention span. In fact, they're probably tired of me talking.
You're a great interviewer. Take some pressure off of me.
As far as the first part of your question, would I want to give up playing? No. I want to play as long as I can. I mean, that's why I got into music, is because I love it. I love being able to express my ideas and things, and as long as I can physically get up there and jump around stage and I don't look too bad, I'm gonna keep going. And you look around. There's a lot of guys that are, they're in their 60s and 70s and still doing it. Kiss, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So,
Cool.
Thank you so much. You look
Welcome.
absolutely great.
Thank you. Well, I have to go take a photo with the Scorpions right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hey.
And they're good leaders as well. They've been doing this a long time, and to see them look as good as they do, they sound great. The show's amazing, and to see them up there
Some of my
just
biggest idols,
cranking,
man.
man.
So
Yeah,
when are you
it's
going to
awesome.
open an Ellefson's coffee shop up here in Seattle?
Stiff competition up here.
I
You
know.
guys are kind of known for your coffee. Well, we're a rock and roll coffee company, and that's kind of where we've really planted our flag. That I think we got a great coffee. I personally select it, but we brand it together, and it's meant for rock and rollers, and so good question, and hopefully I'll have an answer for you next time, because we're pushing to get some more out there. One of the things that happens when companies grow, one, they can be underfinanced, which prevents their
Absolutely.
growth, and sometimes you can grow too fast, and then all of a sudden you flip upside down. And I don't want that to happen.
Right.
Because it's look, it's coffee. First of all, it's a personal thing for me. It started as just a passion, and so it's
great coffee too,
yeah,
by the way.
I want it. Yeah, thank you. I wanted to, like a band, I want it to grow organically and be believable.
And it really is great coffee.
Yeah, thank you.
I've
I
ordered
agree.
it. It's delicious, and I'm not a real coffee drinker. But
Cool. Awesome. Well, thanks you guys.
We get like a shot with three of us here.
Oh, yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do a little bass
Okay,
players unite
all right.
kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
thing.
Oh,
Get in
right.
here,
Here we
and I'm
guys.
in the middle.
All right.
Oh,
Get in here,
I should
buddy.
have.
Bam. Nice.
All right.
Awesome. Cool.
Have a
Let me
great
get in.
show.
Yeah, awesome. Good.